chain smoke and I say fuck a lot. But I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised.
I know a lot of you have been following me since the beginning, but I also know that some of you are newer. So if you didn't know, I started making videos in 2017, and my channels started really growing when I was covering Hollywood pedophilia. But they really started getting bigger when I found Corey Feldman's molester in October of 2017, and he confirmed it. And then at the end of 2017 through 2018 and the beginning of 2019, I covered a lot of blind items. Blind items were Hollywood gossip, where stories would be put out about Hollywood, but the names would be kept hidden. But I was interested in it because it was kind of like a puzzle, like solving a puzzle. And that's kind of how I take this. There were rumors put out there by somebody that was told. That would be Bobbie Brown. She put the rumors out, so that leaves the rest of us to speculate. I'm not accusing anybody. There are rumors and there are facts. So we'll listen to the rumors and we'll go through the facts, what I can find, and we'll see what happens. First off, a quick refresher in case you didn't see my last video, Who Raped Jani Lane? This is from Bobbie Brown, his ex-wife's book in 2013.
I sat in silence, between sobs and punching the window of my car. He told me the secret he had been carrying around for more than 20 years. He was 19 when it happened. It was after a show. An older man, a major rock star, had invited Jani to hang out with him and the big guys. Jani was young and easily impressed. Later that night, along with an accomplice, this major rock star put Jani through an ordeal he had been too ashamed to talk about until this moment. It was violent. It was ugly. It was exploitive. Jani said he had been too scared to tell anybody and had been pushing the memory under the carpet, pretending it wasn't there. Jani was a proud man and hated to think of himself as a victim. Now, finally, I understood why he'd been acting like one for so many years.
And from Bobbie Brown's second book, Cherry on Top, from 2019.
Shortly before his death, he confessed to me that part of the reason he drank was because he had been drugged and raped by a member of a famous heavy metal band and their manager when he was just starting out on the Strip. Stories of women being abused in the rock scene are all too common, but it's rare to hear about the male victims, perhaps because the stigma for them is so much greater. Jani was too ashamed to ever talk to anyone about it, and in the understandable absence of a Me Too movement for male musicians, he suppressed his anger and used alcohol to tune out his feelings of shame.
And then from a resurfaced radio interview of Jani Lane from 2004 that resurfaced in 2020.
Jani, sorry to keep you waiting, man. That's all right. All right, so what can you legally talk about, man, with all this battle that's going on with...
Hey, I don't care.
Right on, good attitude.
Do me, put me in jail, what, they whip me? I don't care. I've been divorced, married, raped, I don't care. I've been divorced, married, raped, I don't care.
Since 2013, when this was made public from Bobbie Brown's book, Dirty Rocker Boys, there's been a lot of speculation. But over the course of a decade, there are two names that keep popping up on message boards, comment sections, and elsewhere on a much wider scale than anyone else's. Those two names are Paul Stanley from Kiss and Rob Halford from Judas Priest. We are going to look into them, but first there is a little discrepancy. Bobbie Brown claims that this happened to Jani Lane when he first moved to LA at the age of 19. Well, Jani Lane was born on February 1, 1964, and at first he moved to Florida from Ohio in 1983 at the age of 19. He was there for a while playing drums for a band called Dorian Gray, but eventually he decided to sell his drums and move to LA to try to make it. Once there, they started a band called Plain Jane. And depending on where you look, it was spring of 1984 or spring of 1985 that they moved there. So that would have put him around 20, 21 years old. So if we can just assume that she got the age wrong, we can look past that. We can move on. Whether it was 1984 or 1985 that they moved to LA, when they first got there, they originally stayed at a place called the Hollywood Bowl Motel, which I think is now Motel 6, Los Angeles, Hollywood. So at least we know the general area they were staying, whether it was there or not. So what was Judas Priest doing in 1984? In 1984, Judas Priest was on Defenders of the Faith tour. They didn't hit California until May of 1984, and they played 3 dates at Long Beach Arena, which was around a 30-minute drive from the Hollywood Bowl Motel. He came back July 29, 1984, the Irving Meadows Amphitheater, which was roughly 45 minutes from Hollywood. And those are the only dates that make sense because they were in the area. And what about Kiss? 1984, Kiss was on the Lick It Up World Tour, and that landed them in Long Beach at the Long Beach Arena January 27, 1984, and also San Bernardino, which was roughly an hour drive, on February 3, 1984. So February is kind of before spring. But what about 1985? In 1985, it looks like Judas Priest played one show in the United States, and that was in Pennsylvania. And Kiss was on the Animalized World Tour, which landed them in Long Beach, California on February 17 and 18, 1985, and also San Bernardino, February 20, 1985. But honestly, everything from 1984 may be irrelevant because according to Jani Lane's self-written biography page that he wrote before he died, I'll leave the archive below. Hi, Jani Lane here. For the first time in my career, I'm taking time to write my own bio. Something always seems to get lost in the translation when you have a third party handle something so personal. Names politely omitted. Anyway, since I've been known to write a thing or two, here goes. And he goes on to say, we arrived in Hollywood, California in the spring of 1985 with $20 to our name. Al had his parents wire some cash, and we crashed for a week at the Hollywood Bowl Motel. So according to Jani Lane, it was spring of 1985. But Rob Halford was in Hollywood May 20 and 21, 1985, because he was singing on Urinate. They made a video and a song called Stars.
This is the only sector of music that hasn't really done anything in the form of relief for what's going on over in Africa. And it's just a joy to be involved, you know.
The song Stars was recorded on May 20 and 21, 1985, with the first session at Sound City Studios, and then the second session moving to A&M Studios, so they recorded it at both studios. The first session was at Sound City, 19 minutes away from the Hollywood Bowl Motel. The second session was at A&M, 5 minutes from the Hollywood Bowl Motel, and they were all pretty close to all the clubs on the Sunset Strip. And we know that Rob Halford and Paul Stanley were hanging out in Hollywood and going to shows in their downtime over these years. From the Miami New Times, Judas Priest Rob Halford, quote, I'm like the heavy metal Michael Jackson. April 30, 2019. Quote, it's really leading a double life, Halford says of living privately as a gay man before coming out live on MTV in 1998. It was a very strong alpha male macho image, not only in rock and roll, but in the world in general. It led me down my drug and alcohol phase. Halford almost died in the mid-80s from an overdose of sleeping pills after years of alcohol abuse and the suicide of his then partner. Sleeping pills and alcohol. That's interesting. Today sober for 33 years, Halford still has trouble shutting his brain off. Quote, I'm like the heavy metal Michael Jackson, he says of their respective battles with insomnia. It's a nightmare for me to sleep. I also thought this was odd, and I had never heard this. That ex-Judas Priest drummer, Dave Holland, played with them from 1979 to 1989, was later on arrested in 2002 for trying to rape a 17-year-old boy. BBC News. Monday, January 19, 2004. Drummer ridicules sex charges. A former rock star has told a court that claims he attempted to rape a special needs teenager while giving drum lessons are ridiculous. David Holland, 55, a former drummer for the rock band Judas Priest, denies one charge of attempted rape and 5 counts of indecently assaulting the young man. His co-accused, Spiros Lateris, 22, denies 4 charges of indecent assault. Mr. Holland said he had formed a friendship with the 18-year-old and had invited him to his house on several occasions. Pornographic videos. Mr. Holland said the teenager had been allowed to drink and smoke at his house and watch videos, but said no sexual advances had been made towards him. He said he had never touched the young man inappropriately or had sex with him. He admitted owning pornographic films, but denied showing them to the teenager. He said he had thought the teenager was bisexual and had told him of his own bisexual background, but denied having any sexual motives for befriending him. Mr. Holland said, quote, he was aware that I am bisexual. I believed that he was of the same persuasion as myself. He was very fond of me, the same as I was of him. He would even tell me I was his best friend. He would tell me that he loved me. It wasn't a sexual thing, it was affection. There might have been an odd hug or something like that. I know it is politically incorrect nowadays, but kids like to be shown a bit of affection. The prosecutor told the court that the alleged abuse was revealed in a letter written by the teenager to his parents on December 14, 2002. She told the court the teenager said he had been asked to shower by Mr. Holland and then forced to take part in a sexual act. Mr. Holland said he asked the teenager to take a shower one afternoon as he smelled strongly of alcohol and tobacco. He denied having any sexual desires towards the youngster. Nicola Caprici, for Mr. Latteris, alleged that Mr. Holland had arranged the visits of her client and the teenager to instigate sex between the three. Dave was convicted and sentenced to 8 years in prison. Something that comes up in Halford's book a lot is his sexual frustration.
We were playing huge venues and the crowd loved us. Off stage, it was a different story. I was increasingly drinking myself unconscious to alleviate the frustration of constantly trying to hook up for secret, sordid sexual encounters and mostly failing. Except for the nights that I didn't fail.
In Bobbie Brown's book, Cherry on Top, she says it was a famous heavy metal musician and their manager. Judas Priest had quite a few managers over the years, but for a long time, Rob Halford had his own manager as well, John Baxter. And you really can't find much about him, but I thought this was odd. Their tour manager, Jim Sylvia, got Halford a massage and then went with him after to go watch male strippers.
While we were still in Canada, Jim Sylvia fixed me up a little treat. I had become quite a connoisseur of pre-show massages, and Jim told me, as a late birthday treat, he had arranged a local guy for me in Winnipeg. Into the dressing room walked a super hot bodybuilder. Well, hello! The guy gave me a fucking great massage, and we chatted while he did it. He told me that his other line of work was as a male stripper, and he was doing a late show that night, an hour or so after the Priest gig finished. Did I want to come down and see him? Well, I had certainly had worse offers than that. After I got off stage that night, Jim Sylvia and I bowled down to the male strip club. We were the only blokes in the audience. A couple of the women were Priest fans and made a fuss of me until the male strippers came on, at which point I was completely forgotten. "Get 'em off! Show us your pecker! Over here, big boy!" When the show was over and I was vigorously fanning myself to cool myself down, my masseur came over to see me. "Hey, Rob, what are you doing now?" he asked. "Oh, probably just going back to my hotel," I said. "Great, we'll come with you. We want to give you a blue light special." I had no idea what this was, but I was very eager to find out. The masseur and an equally hunky second stripper came up to my room with me and put a boombox on my desk. They pushed the play button and loud house music started pumping out. "Get on the bed," they ordered me. "Oh, okay then." It was heaven. Two off-the-charts buff bodybuilders did an erotic striptease for me. They felt each other up, and then, as I was really getting into it, they climbed on the bed and on top of me and started fondling me and feeling me up, and then that was it. No happy ending for Rob.
He also admits to drunkenly trying to hook up with singers of other bands, or at least one, Paul Di'Anno, ex-vocalist of Iron Maiden.
We didn't really hang out and banter with Maiden much on that tour, but maybe I took Di'Anno's comment that he would blow Priest off stage too literally, because the one night we got drunk together, I tried to seduce him. We went to my room to carry on drinking, but I was too pissed to try anything, and he was too pissed to even know what I wanted to try. I think that was definitely for the best.
But if we go back to Kiss and their manager, Bill O'Coin, Paul Stanley had this to say.
In Australia, I began to seriously question Bill O'Coin. His cocaine use had become more extreme, and since splitting up with Sean Delaney, his general behavior had become reckless too. One morning I went to his room and found a boy in his early teens eating a bowl of cereal in Bill's bed. Another morning I found a different boy there. Bill was out of control. When we got back to the States, a boy who had won a contest had been flown in to meet us, along with a photographer from the magazine that had sponsored the contest. Bill was clearly hitting on the kid. The next day I said, "Bill, tell me you didn't." "Yes, I did, and the photographer." Bill had crossed a line into an area I saw as criminal and immoral. I was no longer laughing.
They didn't have him arrested or anything like that. They ended up firing him. And years later, they reconciled before Bill O'Coin's death. But that's pretty messed up. So again, I'm not accusing anybody. These rumors are out, and I'm just showing you what I found. But let's follow up with what Bobbie had to say in a podcast from 2014 on Inappropriate Earl. This is what she had to say about Paul Stanley.
Now, speaking of Kiss,
Okay.
I know that you had said one night, I think at Roxbury, if I'm remembering in the book, that Paul Stanley maybe asked for your phone number, but you said he was very effeminate.
Right.
Which, he does kind of give off that vibe.
Yeah.
I mean...
But that was their vibe, so, maybe I was just reading it wrong.
No, I think you were reading it right.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I sat next to him once at a hockey game, and, he's a very, distinguishable looking man. I mean, it's him. And the lady in her 70s next to me was like, "Who's that guy next to you?" I'm like, "Oh, it's the singer from this band." And her next question was, "Is he gay?" Because he's got this very manicured face, and the eyebrows are perfect, and I don't know. I mean, I don't care if he is or not. I still like him.
Yeah, of course. And I know he's married with kids and everything. I'm just saying he was just extremely effeminate for a male, like his mannerisms. And he's, and the way he talks. And I don't know.
No, I love him, but,
yeah.
I mean.
And if he's gay, so be it. I don't care. Who cares?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
no.
but yeah. So when he asked me out, I was like, I thought he was gay. I didn't know.
But you knew who he was. I mean, because I know that Kiss was.
I went to his concert, but I brought a date, and so he was like, "Oh."
And this is what she had to say about Judas Priest.
I mean, I'll be really sad when the older bands like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden.
Oh, I hate those kinds of.
Oh, but I mean, because it's just you like more like Prince.
I like Prince. I mean, I just have a specific disinterest with Judas Priest.
Oh, I mean, is there a particular reason why, or
yes?
Oh, okay. I mean, is would I be out of bounds by asking why?
Oh, I'll tell you later.
Okay, no worries. Like I said, I want to be respectful here.
But one more thing when it comes to Paul Stanley. 1990, Paul Stanley and Jani Lane demo. Paul Stanley co-wrote "If You Could See Through My Eyes" with Warrant's lead singer Jani Lane when Warrant were working on their Cherry Pie album. So I don't know. Do you think he could have co-written a song with the guy 5 years later? Fucking stoned.